When I was 9 years old, I lived in a quiet town in Asheville, North Carolina with my dad and my Aunt Clara. She wasn't my real mother, but after my mom passed away when I was little, Aunt Clara had been there for me every single day. She took care of me like her own child, always smiling, always making sure I never felt alone. It was one of those chilly winter evenings when the water heater stopped working. The house was old, and things broke down more often than we wanted. I had just come home from playing outside in the snow, my hands numb and my hair covered with tiny snowflakes. Dad was still at work, and Aunt Clara was in the kitchen preparing soup. When she saw me shivering, she said warmly, "Ethan, you look like a snowman. Go take a warm bath before you catch a cold." I ran to the bathroom, but after a few minutes, I shouted, "Aunt Clara, there's no hot water." She laughed from the hallway and came to check. She turned the faucet, frowned, and said, "Looks like the heater's out again." Instead of getting upset, she found an old trick. She boiled water on the stove, filled a couple of buckets, and carried them carefully to the tub. I tried to help, but she said, "You'll spill it on yourself, silly boy." When the bath was finally ready, I jumped in and sighed with relief. The warm water felt heavenly. Aunt Clara stayed nearby, chatting with me as she cleaned up the bathroom. She told me stories about her childhood, how she and my dad used to get into trouble together, stealing cookies from Grandma's kitchen or running through the cornfields after school. I laughed so hard that bubbles flew out of the tub. Aunt Clara laughed too, and for a moment, the whole room felt like it was glowing. After a while, she said, "You've grown so fast, Ethan. Your mom would be so proud of you." Her voice cracked a little, and I could see her eyes glisten. Without thinking, I said, "You're like my mom too." She froze for a moment, then smiled, a deep, emotional smile that only someone who's both happy and heartbroken can make. "That means a lot to me," she whispered. From that day on, our bond grew even stronger. She helped me with school, taught me how to cook pancakes, and cheered for me at every baseball game. She became my biggest supporter. Years later, when I graduated from college, I looked into the crowd and saw her clapping harder than anyone. I thought back to that winter evening, the warm bath, the laughter, and the moment I called her, Mom, in my heart. Now, as an adult, I visit her every weekend. We still laugh about how she used to fix everything with boiling water. And every time I hug her goodbye, I remember that love doesn't always come from where we expect. Sometimes it comes from an aunt who chooses to love you like her own child.